Yep, we're good. Okay, I'm going to bring us back into open session. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance and have Director Jerry Smith lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to go to the roll call. Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
Here.
Clerk Jackson.
Here.
Trustee Alcala.
Here.
And I am still here, and President Wong is still absent. Let's see. So, announcement of action taken in closed session, Government Code Section 48918, Student Discipline, case number 2018-19-E. The board discussed and will take action later in this meeting on item P1. E2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9, subdivision D1, Grijalva v. Washington Unified School District, case number CV 19-994, was not discussed. Government Code Section E3, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Superintendent Evaluation. The board has completed the annual evaluation of Superintendent Luna for the 2018-19 school year. We take this task very seriously and meet periodically throughout the school year to discuss this topic. Although the superintendent's evaluation is confidential, as are the evaluations for all district employees, we do want you to know the board conducts a comprehensive evaluation to review and assess the goals set forth for both the district as a whole and the superintendent specifically. Okay, moving on to approval of the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda? No? Then can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0, okay. There are no communications and celebrations. So moving on to the WSTA report.
Good evening. Something topical came up, and I thought I'd bring it up tonight. I'd like to recommend that the district become involved in efforts to ensure that the upcoming U.S. Census counts are done accurately and fairly, and I'd like to recommend that the district become involved in those efforts. Apart from the issue of asking residents whether or not they're citizens, which looks like that's been taken care of, there appears to be issues with the way the census is going to be conducted. Specifically, that the primary way that households are going to be surveyed will be online. Given what we know about the lack of access to computers and the internet and some of the skills that our families don't have, I think this is where the district can play a productive role, specifically with encouraging kids to help their parents out in filling out the census forms, but also in providing resources at school sites. Anyway, so thank you for that. Few things to think about for next year. A couple relate to our continuing work on our culture as a district. It's been my experience and also and something I hear frequently that many of our administrators are still stuck in the No Child Left Behind era. I would get emails ahead of our state testing really pushing to have the kids do really well on the test so that the test scores would look good. And not as much emphasis on the work that it takes behind the scenes and the work that it takes in the background to help kids do really well on the test, not just the test scores themselves. And I would, of course, love the district to continue providing support for those kids who need a little extra help, and as well as providing opportunities for our educators to inspire and engage our students in innovative ways, which, of course, you have been doing. So. Some of our classroom teachers still seem to be stuck in these outmoded paradigms. And one of the criticisms I heard from a number of teachers this last year over our new professional learning days is they were sitting back and expecting administration to take charge of all of these days. And even though we know that 2/3 of our days are supposed to be educator-driven. So that's something we're going to have to continue to work on to encourage our educators to take charge of their own professional learning. And again, this is a shift in paradigm, a shift in culture from what many of us have been through in our careers. And then finally, we need to really ensure that our programs of restorative practices and alternatives to suspensions are implemented consistently and well. They need to involve everyone at each site and provide accountability for everyone involved. I don't know how many times I heard this year from teachers who told me, this is the worst year of my teaching career. I'm leaving the district. I can't take it anymore. Teachers do not feel that their concerns were heard. They did not feel supported. They did not feel that they had the tools they needed to work with our most challenging kids. I realize it's not just them. I realize our site administrators also have lots of issues. And so we need to work through these things to make sure our systems are working well. So we're going to need a commitment from the district, though, to make sure that this happens and that all of us are involved in the process, every voice is heard, and that there's training involved, and the training is for everyone, not just for a few. And with that, that concludes my final report to you as president of WSTA. It's been quite a ride, and I've enjoyed getting to know and work with all of you. Thanks for all you do for the kids in West Sacramento. I'll still be around, and you'll probably see me, maybe not every meeting, but you'll probably still see me around, and I'll still be a district employee at least for several more months. And so with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Don, and thank you for building a great partnership between the union and the district. Thank you. Daniel Gandara, CSEA report.
Good evening. I'm just reporting on that since school has been out, that CSA has been working. We've had a lot of meetings with HR and with Chris in getting things worked and resolved before the next school year. So I'd like to thank them for that. And just let you guys know that the 12-month classified employees are working hard over the summer to get the school sites ready for the kids. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay. Moving on to public comments. At this time, members of the public may address the board on topics of our board agenda, in addition to topics that are under the jurisdiction of the board and are not on the agenda. Although the board, by law, may not take action at this meeting, the board may limit the total time for public input on any topic to 20 minutes unless it chooses to waive the limit or the item limit for a particular item. Individual speakers may be limited to 3 minutes to comment on any topic. Public comments consisting of individual charges, complaints, or derogatory remarks about any district employee are requested to be submitted in writing to the administration in accordance with the district's complaint procedure. We do recognize that for a lot of people, commenting before the board and the audience and the people watching at home on television is a nerve-wracking experience. So to try to make that as easy as possible, we do ask that there not be any applause or booing or catcalling or other demonstrations to maintain civil discourse here in the chambers. The board respects the rights of members of the public to speak to us regarding matters on the agenda and other matters within the jurisdiction of the board. However, it is important for members of the public to recognize that comments regarding students other than the speaker's own children made during a public board meeting may be legally actionable as a violation of student privacy. Both state and federal law prohibit the board and others from discussing confidential student information in open session. To this end, be advised that if you reference a student's name other than your own student, you will be out of order and your comments may not be protected by the privileges that protect public speech. You could be found liable for such comments in legal proceedings. Furthermore, it is important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or others, even those made in a public board meeting, may be actionable civil defamation. As such, the board reminds the public that the district has existing board policy that allows the public to lodge a complaint against a district employee. This policy provides a comprehensive procedure for reviewing and responding to public complaints. This process provides a more thorough opportunity to be heard than is allowed under the open meeting law that governs this meeting. And with that, let's see. Phil McGreevy.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for having us today. I'd like to do a public comment on an incident that involved my daughter at River City High School. Moving forward with that, we'd like to see some changes made in regards to the student handbook and the parents guide for the district and the school as well. Some of those changes include a code of conduct. Its placement is actually on the first page of the guide, or the parent handbook would be a first start. And secondly, on top of that, is outline consequences for using a device to propagate violence, or in other words, using a phone as a spectator to propagate violence or a fight should have a clear consequence outlined in that student conduct guide or parent handbook as well, so everyone can see that. And thirdly, not only have that parent guide and that student handbook, but actually have the students instructed on the contents of pertinent information in that handbook. So on that first 2 or 3 days of school or at orientation, each homeroom or each, at least one period or one class, students are actually able to go over that, maybe even have a check for understanding or a check for knowledge on the contents of it. It's a long document right now as it's written, but I think there's some significant things that could be changed on it, particularly that code of conduct that could be up in the front, also outlining the use of cell phones and media to propagate that violence. That being said, that's all I have right now. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the work you do, and I look forward to seeing some meaningful changes moving forward. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Danny Langford.
I'm curious on your report out of the superintendent evaluation. In the past, it's always been satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and so forth and so on. Also, your special meetings need to be recorded. I did make this comment at the last special meeting last week. Whether it's a good old cassette tape player or a videographer, The community has the right to know what's going on at these special meetings and workshops, and it used to always be done in the past. It was a bit disturbing at the last regular board meeting when you, Kobe, called a point of order during a public comment of a community member. That's for the legislative floor, not for a board meeting, and public comments can be whatever they are. That's the public's right. We have every right to question contracts, whether they're ongoing or at a meeting. I've questioned numerous times about things to no avail. No answers, none of my questions even made by any of you board members. Some of you make them, most of you don't. So how is it that we can't question things after the fact, as was written on the community discussion board this last week? A comment made at the last special meeting was extremely disturbing, and yes, I took it personally, and it probably was aimed at me as one of them, that 3 do not represent 8,000, and that we are a distraction in coming to you about comments that aren't positive about things going on in the district. I'm telling you now, I get phone calls almost daily, emails, people that reach out to me, whether they're staff or community, thanking me for being willing to come to this microphone because they don't feel they can because of retaliation. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's true. And Mr. Stauffer's comment just cements that in. I have some concerns and some comments about some of the things in your own handbook that you went over at the last board meeting, special board meeting last week. I find it funny on page 8 where it says, trustees will be discreet in checking their cell phones when necessary. Kobe, you're on your cell phone all the time. People have called you about FaceTiming or Facebooking during the meetings, which I find funny that you'd have that in here. But it would be nice if you'd follow it. The board president will require inquire, I'm losing my time here, so I have to, on page 7. After all discussion, a vote is requested by the board president. That doesn't happen. Somebody jumps in sometimes before some of the board even has an opportunity to make their comments. Page 10, board president and individual members will not speak in official capacity of the board except to express permission of the board. Again, I'm running on time, but Kobe and Sarah, you were recently touted in or commented in an article about charter schools as trustees. You're not allowed to do that. It even says in here that any media things should be directed
Thank
to
you.
the superintendent. I know you're going to cut me off.
All right, Forest Gardens.
Nothing says
You
42.
all right?
Yeah, nothing says 42 like thrown out your back. You know, I guess it's one of those rite of passages. Hey, thanks, guys. You know, I just kind of wanted to have a heart-to-heart. I don't want to fight. I really don't. It's not doing either one of us any good when you have parents on a Little League ground, you know, boxing it out over what a referee's done at a game. And the thing is that I want to create a synergy, and I want to create a partnership where those of us in the community can work with the leaders in the district, you folks that are here making policy. It's just that part of my frustration as somebody who lives in Brighton, Broderick, and some of these struggling neighborhoods is that sometimes we just feel like our voices aren't being heard, and so we take alternative methods to try to get that attention. Another thing is that those of us who live in the poorer neighborhoods are a little bit more sensitive when it comes to these types of things, because we know how bad things can get quickly, and we're maybe a couple of paychecks away from quote unquote being homeless, versus some folks who might live in some of the more well-affluent neighborhoods might have the resources and the connections that help prop them up. But we don't have that an awful lot in the northern side. So education is just so critical. Like I just can't say it enough, because it's one tool that no one can ever take away from us. And all it takes is one mistake on a resume or an application for somebody not to get that phone call for that job. And the thing is that when I'm online and I'm talking about that, and I'm quote unquote fighting with folks online about what's going on, like with these contracts and stuff, it's like when I see $300,000 not going out to bid, and I have some questions about it, or I'm trying to figure out why do we have coaches anyway, or how come the district can't perform the same things that this coach person is doing, because I just see money just being not wasted, but just draining away. Whether it's boxes of jerky at the district office, where I'm like, I don't know how we're giving snacks to staff when that should be going to kids, and how are we funding sodas going into the district office for staff to drink, when the kids at the high school have to pay money at a vending machine to get a can of soda, but yet if you walk in the district office, you can just open up a refrigerator and help yourself. That doesn't seem right to me. So the other part is that I've sent messages and emails to the district, and I don't get answers back. I just don't, and it gets buried in a response where I don't know what else to do to ask for information. I really don't. I've exhausted it, to the point where I have to write an open letter and put it in the newspaper.
Thank you, Forrest. Appreciate your time. Okay, M, public hearings. There are no public hearings. Information discussion items. Oh, that's LCAP. That's for P3. Do you want to do it a public? You want to do a public comment? Okay. Amy Alfieri. Come on up.
I must have written the wrong thing.
Yeah, you wrote P3, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. I would like to introduce myself to everyone here, including the executive staff. I am Dr. Amy Alfieri, PhD in Spanish, 2007, Master's in Spanish, 2001, Bachelor's in Spanish with honors, 1998, local expert in academic Spanish, and IEP translator for your local school district. I will go into more detail, but I just want to make sure everyone knows who I am and what my role is. I am very concerned about how the layoffs were decided and about misinformation given to the board about translation services. The translator position is vital, considering that 40% of our families are Spanish-speaking. In the video of the June 13th meeting, I noticed that board members Alcala, Kirby Gonzalez, and Pizzotti asked questions about the elimination of my position. The answers given by the assistant superintendents and the superintendent were not accurate. Not only am I tasked with translating all IEPs in SACE, district-wide, from English to Spanish, I also translate urgent social media messages, required parent letters, phone calls, surveys, community forum presentations, email blasts, and sensitive confidential legal documents. Is it appropriate to give a third party who hires freelancers this duty? Is it appropriate to give access to a third-party freelance translator legal confidential document translation projects and student IEP information in SACE? I have a very large caseload in SACE. In fact, I received a kudos from the Special Education Department in their January newsletter, thanking me for keeping on top of their caseload of translating IEPs. And I can provide that to the board. I can also provide numerous emails that I have written to several board members trying to clarify my duties, and numerous emails that I have written to CSEA also clarifying my duties, explaining that my job description exactly matches what I do. I would also like to correct the record on our translation capacity at school sites. We have only one homeschool liaison who has the academic Spanish capability to take on my tasks. It is nowhere in her job description that she will be translating. Nowhere. It is in my job description. I think it's also an excessive burden to put on one homeschool liaison. It also will result in contracting out in direct violation of the CSEA contract, and excessive spending on contracting to a translation company which uses freelancers. If I might finish, I have a couple more lines. May I have 20 more seconds?
20 seconds, sir. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now that we've clarified what my role is, what my job description is, I would like the executive staff to amend their comments to the board at the last meeting. And I also have requested a closed session exit interview with the board for the next meeting. And I'm looking forward to meeting with the Assistant Superintendent, Norma Gonzalez, who I've just met, to further clarify the situation with this position. I'm invested in the success of Washington Unified. I have 2 children in the district. I came out of being a stay-at-home mom to take this job in service to the district.
Amy, can we please wrap up? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I hate to do this, and I know it's very painful, but we need to be moving on. So we're now moving on to N1, end report on the progress of the safety plans and programs for 2018-19 school year. Andy Parsons and Jerry Smith, Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services and Director of Family and Student Services. Oh, my bad, just you.
Yes.
Just kidding.
For a second, I thought you were giving me a title of assistant superintendent. I was pretty
Well,
excited.
I'm sitting here reading the paper and.
Not a problem.
Sorry, Jerry.
Not a problem. I've been asked by the board and the cabinet to give a quick report on the progress we've had this year since we went into contract with Emergency Preparedness Group and the things that we're able to accomplish this year. Still waiting for the to come up. So while we're waiting for that to come up, there are 12 major areas that Emergency Preparedness Group had said that they would work with us on during the course.
You lost you.
Test.
Is ours working, or is this isn't working? Is it?
Having some technical difficulties.
Can you hear me now? Nope. We're all down.
Either. Lights
we're
are
all
on.
We're all down.
I have the magic mic. Is it still working? No.
Yours is on here now.
The light's on.
Yeah, so all our lights are on, it's just nobody's home.
Does that mean the feed's off?
I'm wondering about that. Is the feed off? Do you know if the feed's off? There we go. Okay. Jerry, you got it?
Thank you. I do
There
have,
you go.
I do have
Okay.
it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Continue.
We're
Thank
still
you.
going to be waiting for that PowerPoint to come up. So, and I don't think it's fair to the public, et cetera, if the PowerPoint's not up. I'm gonna sidebar for a second.
Okay.
Guys, tomorrow I finish my 35th year in education, and I was going to do this at the end, but I'll do it at the beginning. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to let me work in this district. The last 5 years has been an enjoyable experience, challenging at times, but excitingly challenging. And I am going to be around for another month working with my successor and trying to make the transition as smooth as possible in the Student Services Department. But I just did want to say that it's been a great journey, and I appreciate being able to end my career in this district. It's been quite a nice run. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Are we going to be without?
So we were not going to be able to see the presentation on this here, but we're able to see it on our monitors. And
I have
we
one.
copies
Okay.
for
Right.
probably not enough for the public, but we have copies.
I'll give mine up if somebody wants
Mike,
to.
Mike can too, if anyone needs it. We can watch it on the
We
monitor.
can watch on our monitors if anybody
Do you have
wants to
enough?
see it.
Oh, okay.
You got them all? Okay.
Most everybody? Oh, great. That's wonderful. If you look at the PowerPoint layout on the paper, since we went into work with Emergency Preparedness Group, they had us working on 12 significant areas during the course of the year. I'm going to quickly give you a report on how they did through that process. At the beginning of the year, once we went into contract with them in May, June, and July, they did the safety and vulnerability assessments at each one of the school sites, as well as doing assessments on the emergency routes at each school site. During the course of the year, they've given me quarterly reports on the transition of when we started using our comprehensive school safety plans with them. Once in July, October, February, and May at the end of the year, we had a closure meeting. The safety teams, of course, are formed by each one of the school sites during the course of the beginning of the school year in August. The comprehensive school site safety plans were developed in July, August, and September, as well as the emergency operation plans, and then we brought them to you at December of 2018 with the information. I see it. except it doesn't want to move for us. Beautiful, I'm on 4. Thank you, Ruth. So like I said before, we did the comprehensive school safety plans, immeasurably more detailed than we've ever had before, and for the first time, we had emergency operation plans for each one of the school sites. And once again, they developed them in the fall, and we brought them to you in December. The Emergency Operations Center training was completed in tabletop exercises with each representative teams from the school sites at the district office during the springtime in February, and we still need to complete the EOC program for the district office itself. The Incident Command System 402 training, which is for the executives or the leaders at each one of the school sites, was completed during the tabletop training for each one of the school sites, as was the Incident Command System 100 training, which is the introduction to incident command systems and how you work with them at school sites. So quite a bit of it was accomplished, but we have gone into agreement with Emergency Preparedness Group as part of their contract continuing on, even though we will not be paying them any extra money for this. In the fall of 2019, they will come and complete a FEMA CERT training for the district if people would like to attend that training, as well as an extra training on the ICS 402 and the ICS 100 training. There will be 2 drills per facility to practicing drills on the things that the school sites have learned. And I had the opportunity, we were going to do it late spring, and we made a decision to hold off and do them in the fall, so that way we could get the school year started appropriately with all the change of administration, et cetera, at all the different school sites. So the 2 drills will be done during the fall with the leadership of EPG. And also, there will be an EOC and active shooter training for district office personnel at the district office, because that was not accomplished at the end of this year. And then, once again, they'll support the updates for the comprehensive school safety plans and the site emergency operation plans with the conjunction of each one of the school site administrations. If there are any questions, feel free to give them to me.
I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. What is an 402
Yeah.
versus 100 training?
Sure. The ICS 100 is basically an introduction for each one of the school site safety teams on how the process works. The 402 is more for the leadership group, the executives. It's more detailed and talks about the process of running an incident command system within each school site. So it's more detailed. Each one of the school teams was able to receive these. What they'd like to do is offer this at the district level for any teacher, classified person, or administrative personnel at each one of the school sites to come to after school one day to go through the trainings as well.
I do have a question. The training, is it comprehensive for everyone, or does it fall into different categories of the training?
Which one? The ICS? The 100 is for everybody.
Okay.
At each one of the school sites. The 402 is more executive based, and when they use that term executive, we're talking about the major players on the incident command teams at each one of the school sites, and also at the district office.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Kirby-Gonzalez?
Thank you. Can I ask and I hope you didn't already go over this, so I apologize if you did, but the drills at each facility, are those drills, the active shooter drills, with students present? Are they not present?
They are absolutely going to be present.
Okay.
Absolutely. We always hold school drills at the school site, but these will be under the direction of the EPG group and be involved with it and in analyzing and making assessments of each one of those drills.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I ask, then this will be for your predecessor, I guess, that we can have some information before that drill happens, what that's going to look like, and so we can be aware and make sure that we can help the community, because, as a
I'm gonna commit to that. That's not a problem for me at all.
Great, good.
We'll make that happen.
Good. Thank you. As a teacher, and Anna's just a mom, we think about our kids on campuses, and we don't want them to be afraid. This is a hard conversation to have, so.
Totally understand.
Okay.
Totally understand.
And then I have two more things. And then my other piece, this doesn't fall into, I know, the safety plans, but I'm wondering if you can just tell us who maybe the responsibility, if this is a school site principal, what this would look like in terms of the parent handbook, a change to a parent handbook at a school, or the student handbook at River City High School. Will that fall onto the new principal, student services? Who would be the person for that?
I think the school program that the family was talking about would be at the school site, but the parent handbook is actually sent out by the district level, so it's
Okay.
something that we can work out at the district level and get those taken care of.
Perfect, so a conversation can happen. Good,
absolutely.
thank you. And then my third is to thank you for all that you have done. And I think back before you were in this position and what was happening in the district, and we've come a long way. And so I want to thank you for all of the, you have a challenging role, and there's been challenging conversations and things you've done, and you have helped this district move forward, and we're safer, and kids are getting more supports, and things are happening. So I want to thank you for all that you've done, and wish you luck in your next step of your journey.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks,
Trustee
everyone.
Alcala?
Hi, Jerry had some questions about the parents. I remember we once had confusion, the parents expressed confusion over pickup sites and everything. How is that going to be handled when we had an emergency? I know at River City, a few of my friends who have children out there.
Sure. That's definitely that's in the emergency operation plans. Those are written much clearer now. The reunification process is, I think, what you're talking about. Yeah, and it's still a challenge, and that's part of the practice process that they're going to use in those drills. There's much more descriptive direction about how that's to happen, but it's a significant challenge, especially at River City, to be honest with you, with 2,200 kids. Mm-hmm. So those will be things that will be assessed by EPG along with my successor when they go through that process.
So I guess my question is, you know how we have emergency alerts on TVs and stuff, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with the floods and stuff? So are we going to at any point have something similar to that, but alerting the parents that it's just sort of like a practice?
I'm not sure exactly.
Well,
your
I guess
question.
what I'm asking is,
The active shooter is like just a
right,
drill.
just
We're
to
getting a
let them
heads
know
up.
it's a drill. It's a drill, but if this were the case, this is what you would have. Are we going to send out like an alert or anything like that through our constant contact or however?
I think it'd be a great idea. We can do something like that, especially using the support from Yorgos in the district office. I think that's definitely something that can be done.
And I think at one time, Charlotte Dorsey came in here. She said that there was a radio station that's local. I don't know. I'm assuming some folks may listen to it and stuff, but that's probably another resource we could use.
Could be.
Charlotte, I'm sort of giving a plug for the radio station, but okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Trustee Kirby Gonzalez and Alcala kind of got to the issues that I was a little concerned about is, many of the small children that are on our campuses would be pretty terrified, even though they're watching, TV and seeing things and asking questions like, what is Parkland, and, they're still very cognizant of that, and they're terrified of, hey, active shooter. That terminology is actually in my daughter's head, and she's 7. And that's, something I think is, terrible. But if we're going to be doing an active shooter drill, giving maybe parents a heads up or, at least prepping the kids for this, it's just a drill, honey, but this is what we need to do so we can, so I can tell my daughter, this is only a drill, right? So it's just, I think, something that we would all be very concerned about. So those are just my comments on that. And then my comment to you is to thank you for your years of service, your hard work and your determination, but most of all, your love and passion and caring, for all the students, even the ones that come before you for disciplinary cases, right? To see how passionate you are and how much you are absolutely, heart-wrenched by what they've been through. You could see it in your face and how much it hurts you. So I just wanted to say thank you for being that person.
Thanks, Kobe. I
We
appreciate
really
it.
needed it.
It's been a great run, you guys.
Thank
Time
you,
to ride
Jerry.
off into the sunset.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
If I would be remiss.
Uno mas.
Yeah. I would be remiss if the district didn't say a word about Jerry. We have celebrations, we give goofy gifts, we celebrate food, all that good stuff. But, you know, when we have a person that nobody really sees what he does, because that's exactly what he does, is he does the work that nobody is supposed to see.
Right.
So that things don't get out of hand. And I think the principals and the assistant principals are going to miss him most because of the support and the mentoring that he has given to the school sites. He's got a little bit of a magic fairy dust that he has working with parents that are in heartbreaking situations, and we're trying to follow rules and regulations and at the same time help students to be successful and help families in their challenging situations. And so it takes a special lens in student services, and we are grateful for everything that Jerry has done, and we will miss him.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay, moving on. We're going to the consent agenda. Do we have anything to add or subtract from the consent agenda?
Thank you, Vice President Pizzotti. We have an amendment to the certificated recommendations, and so the revised copy is right there for the board and for the public.
Okay, thank you. With that, do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And Superintendent Luna?
Thank you, Vice President Pizzotti and Board of Trustees. This evening, I have two introductions to make. As we've been practicing that we want the board to know who we're hiring in terms of our administration. First, I want to introduce Erin Cormier, who is no stranger to our district. However, she is on vacation, but I want to honor her by congratulating her as the new co-principal at Westmar Oaks School, the home of the Dragons. Her colleague, who is also the co-principal here, Dr. Salas, is here just to honor her as well.
Is he FaceTiming her? Is that what?
So Ms. Cormier received her bachelor's in psychology from Chapman University, as well as her master's in education and curriculum and instruction. She has a certificate of completion from the Association of California School Administrators from the Principals Academy. She is also certified as an AVID district director, which very few people are. This past year, Erin served as a program specialist for professional learning and support. She's been a classroom teacher for Washington Unified for 6 years and 5 years also in Fairfield Sassoon. She has also served as an educational consultant for Smart Technologies and Kaplan K-12 Learning Services for 4.5 years. Previous to that, she was the assistant principal for 4 years in Fairfield Sassoon and served as interim assistant principal back in 2015 at Riverbank. Erin also served as coordinator of state and federal programs in Sacramento City Unified School District. Here's what her colleagues and recommendations have said about Erin. Erin Cormier has the heart, skills, and knowledge needed to lead students, support teachers and staff, and assist parents in this educational journey. Erin is an educator with an exceptional knowledge base. This is only one of many valuable contributions and skills that Erin has acquired. Her professionalism and work ethic have benefited all of Washington Unified. We welcome Erin as our co-principal of Westmar Oaks. Our second administrator we are welcoming to our Washington Unified family is our new Director of Student and Family Support Services, and this is Dr. Andre Phillips. If you'll just stand, Dr. Phillips. You have to this is the thing here. So I'm going to read
This is all you get.
What he doesn't know is that I'm going to be reading some things about him, and he would not want me to do this, but I think it's a great way to honor him.
Nice.
Dr. Phillips received his bachelor's in psychology from UCLA. He received his master's in education regarding special education from Sac State. And he just recently received his doctorate in educational leadership from Concordia University, Irvine, and we congratulate him for that. Dr. Phillips has served in Stockton Unified for the past 18 years. He started as a special education teacher for 6 years and then was called to high school assistant principalship for 5 years. He has been the principal of Stagg High School for the past 7 years. Dr. Phillips has a tremendous ability to create connections with students and families. These are from his recommendations and his references. He is approachable, a good listener, and seeks solutions. Dr. Phillips' background, educational experiences, and research have consistently demonstrated his ability to work with various stakeholder groups such as city services, local law enforcement, and community groups to address the different social, economic, social, emotional, and academic levels of students that he serves. He exhibits a work ethic that is unsurpassed. I can count on him not only to perform his job duties, but also to go above and beyond what is expected. One thing to know about Dr. Phillips, he is well known in other areas of the United States. He is a dignitary for the Simplot Games for Special Olympics. He serves in the Simplot Games, track camp and vertical adventures on the road track and field camp in various cities across the country. Some of us may also remember Andre Phillips as the 1985 World Cup gold medalist for the 400-meter hurdles and the 4x400-meter relay, and his great accomplishment as the 1988 United States Olympic gold medalist in the 400-meter hurdles in Seoul, Korea. We're about to watch that right now.
Nice. So just drink it in.
Sorry, Andre. I'm hoping that the video, it's very moving. So a little bit of background while we're trying to get it up. Edwin Moses won 107 consecutive races.
And there's a full
And
stadium
Andre
here
Phillips was the
in Seoul
underdog
for this
in the race.
final. Winthrop Graham in 4. So in 1 is Schmid, the great rival of Moses. There's Barr in 5. 1 Schmid, 2 Kevin Young, the other American. Now here's Phillips. He was number 1 in the world in 85 and 86. Akabusi from Great Britain, who made the semi-finals in Los Angeles on the 400 flat. And there's Edgar Itt, who was 3rd behind Miles Murphy at the World Juniors. But both he and Akabusi have turned to the hurdles. So Schmid in 1. He has 2 big medals behind Moses in 87 in Rome and in 84 in Los Angeles. Kevin Young in 2, Moses in 3. He's going for an unprecedented 3rd Olympic gold medal in this event. For 9 years, 9 months and 9 days, he didn't lose a race.
The swimming.
It was the longest winning streak in track history between 1977 and 1987. And there's the man that beat him in 1977, Harold Schmidt. Kevin Young alongside of him.
Harold Schmidt would love to get up and beat him again today. I think the odds are against him, though, drawing lane 1. Young is an interesting young hurdler. He hurdles as far as he can with 12 steps between the hurdles, remembering that Moses takes 13, and then he brings it back and hurdles alternate legs.
So Moses in 3 has the better draw, I feel, than Phillips in 6. You can have a good look at him all the way. Phillips the challenger. Away, and the King got a clean start. Schmidt in 1, Young in 2, Moses in 3. Phillips has gone out hard in 6, and Moses can see him. And Phillips is in front after the 2nd. At the 3rd, Phillips and Moses practically together, and Young going well too. Phillips is hurdling in front of Moses, and Schmidt is out of it. It's Phillips just in front. Now the King is going to have to come at him around the turn. Barr is running well, and so's Young. Moses has drawn level with Phillips. There's 3 to go. Phillips just in front of Moses. The King has to respond. Phillips in front. Moses challenging. Moses coming at Phillips. I don't know. He's going to get beaten, I think. And Barr's flying. Barr comes at Phillips. Phillips beats Barr. And Moses has lost. And Phillips takes Moses' Olympic record with him.
Sometimes we never know where our journeys take us.
Right.
But what we know is that our life experiences and our journeys bring us to certain places in the perfect time, in the perfect moment for a reason. I'm so excited for next year as we bring on Dr. Phillips as his background is going to be a very different lens in reaching our students at Yellow High School, and also a different lens with special education background in really reaching the students who are our most needy. So we welcome him aboard.
Can I just make a comment real quick?
I was just going to say, Dr. Phillips, I bet that never gets old, seeing that, you know. I try not to watch it. Right. Right, exactly. You know, as you walk into any room, that's what should play, right?
Dr. Phillips, actually, I met you. I went and did high school voter registration out at Stagg High School. Yes, and it was fantastic. We spent 2 days out there. All those seniors, were over 500 students we registered. So, yeah, I remembered when they said Stagg. Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's see, we're moving on to action items. P1, action on Government Code, Section 48918, Student Discipline, case number 2018-19-E. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. P2, adoption of Resolution 1819-38, approving of California State Preschool Contract CSP 9679 and Resolution Number 1819-40, approving pre-kindergarten and family literacy program contract CPKS-9109. Andy Parsons.
Good evening, Vice President Pizzotti, Board of Trustees, Cabinet, and Community. Tonight I bring two different resolutions to the board. Each year, the Early Education and Support Division awards contracts for early education services, which must be approved by the Board of Trustees. What they do is we then get reimbursed. So the first one is going to be a reimbursement of $1,004,633. This is resolution number 1819.38. And the second resolution is for $10,000, which will be used to provide family literacy. And so tonight we ask the board for approval.
Any questions?
So moved.
Okay. Do we have to separate since they're two separate resolutions, or we can take them up in one vote?
It would be nice to do two different resolutions.
Okay. So we're going to take resolution number 1819-38 first. So can I get a motion on that?
So moved. Sorry, Jen.
I'll second.
Trustee Kirby Gonzalez seconds. And we'll start with the roll call vote. Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Alcala.
Aye.
Trustee Jackson.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. So that passed. Now moving on to resolution number 1819-40. Can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Trustee Jackson.
Second.
Trustee Alcala. And we'll start over here. Trustee Alcala.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
Clerk Jackson.
Aye.
And I too vote aye.
Thank you.
You have it. Number P3, approval of Washington Unified School District's Local Control Accountability Plan. Andy Parsons. Oh, wait, you're back.
I'm back. At the last board meeting, we did a public hearing. We also did our LCAP Parent Action Committee. And so there are a few comments I want to make so everyone's aware. The docs that were loaded on the online agenda, only half of them were loaded because of space issues with our agenda online. The board has the complete packet. We also have the ones that weren't loaded over on there for public to take a look at. Secondly, attached, we also put our LCAP pack questions and answers. They did a lot of questions, a lot of comments around our LCAP, so I attached that as well onto the agenda so that you could see their different questions and our answers to them. Thirdly, there were two comments at the last board meeting from the Board of Trustees. One came from Trustee Kirby Gonzalez, there was a conflicting percentage on two different pages that has been corrected in the Healthy Kids Survey. Both of them now say 62%, so thank you for bringing that to our attention. And secondly, the board requested information on, and it was brought up at a public comment tonight, what do we do with the positions that have been eliminated? And Superintendent Luna will provide the board with the restructuring of educational services at the July meeting, so that will be answered at that point. And lastly, the process, after approval tonight, it goes to Yolo County Office of Education, where they review it. They are not reviewing it for content, they're reviewing it for make sure your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and make sure that we're following all CDE guidelines. So after you approve, then it will go to Yolo County and then come back to me, and we'll make any corrections that they ask us to do.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from the board?
Yeah, when does the county need to have the LCAP?
It needs to be approved by June 30th, and then I will be submitting it to them for review.
Reason why I ask is very, very simple, because since the complete LCAP was not loaded up on the general line, I kind of feel that it's necessariness to have that entire packet available to the public, who obviously, for folks who may not be here, so they can actually have access to that in the pertinent information.
Absolutely. One thing that is fortunate for us is that the corrections that were made are on the updated website.
Okay.
Then, so if they wanted to look at it, they'd look at the last board meeting online, because that had the whole packet, and there weren't any changes in that.
The only change made was the percentages.
That's correct.
Yeah, since last meeting.
Any other comments?
Can I ask, will it be able to be uploaded later, whatever the glitch was?
Absolutely. But
When people go back for record?
we will put it on our website.
Okay.
Excuse me. We'll put it on our website, as well as the final copy as we submit it to CDE will be posted.
Okay. And with that, can I get a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And approval of the 2019-2020 Washington Unified School District's budget with a positive certification. Chris Mount Benitez, Chief Business Official. Come on
evening.
down.
Good evening, trustees, colleagues, community. At the last board meeting, we went through the hearing and presented the detailed budget outlook, which was a positive certification for the coming year as well as 2 additional years, which is why I'm recommending its passage with a positive certification. And a thanks to all the staff and colleagues in the district for all the hard work this year to make it so.
Any comments? I just wanted to say thank you to you and your staff for putting together and digging us out of a structural deficit that was difficult. You know, it was not easy to get us here, and it's unfortunately that we were here in the first place. But I definitely want to say thank you for identifying, you know, things that we could change and operationally and get to a place where we're now positive for this next 3 years. And with that, do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Is that roll call?
No. Let's see,
Oh, the next one is.
P5, the adoption of Resolution 1819-39, certification of signatures. Come back, Chris. And this is,
There we go. Sorry about that. So this item is just the approval of our annual adoption of resolution for the certification of signatures for signatories for the school district.
and are we just basically removing Amber as a signatory?
That's correct.
And,
It's a recertification, yes.
right.
Adding Norma, I believe.
Yeah, didn't we add Norma, or did we already add her earlier?
The last certification that we presented Norma Gonzalez was on, and so was Amber Lee, and so now we're just removing.
Okay. Okay.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And with that, Trustee Clerk Jackson.
Aye.
Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Alcala.
Aye.
And I too vote aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving down to board governance. Suggestions. Does anybody want to speak about their county 2x2 meeting?
Sure. Talking about me?
Yeah, since you're the only one here from it.
Okay. So we had our county 2x2 meeting yesterday, and that does rotate. We meet every 3 months. We'll be meeting next in September, and that will be at Supervisor Villegas's office. For that meeting is not scheduled yet with a day, but to be coming in September. We had some really important comments and discussion. Their new Health and Human Services person over there is Caitlin Jakowski. She's brand new, so it's been 3 weeks, but we were able to get updates from her and really looking forward to continuing those conversations. She had a wealth of knowledge in terms of her experience working with county mental health that she's bringing from other places as well. We had asked for the numbers because Yolo County, they can pull numbers out for West Sac, but sometimes when they're giving us updates, they're giving us numbers for all of Yolo County, and we're really interested in our numbers right here. And so you might be interested to know these are people who have Medi-Cal, and so this is not hit on everyone, especially when we think about people who may be need to be in a hospital for suicide watch or whatnot, who have insurance, who won't fall into these numbers. And so there were 278 requests for service, and this past year, and 27 total youth hospital stays. 22 separate students, so some of those were students that were there multiple times, but 22 separate incidents. We talked 26 crisis evaluations. Those are probably similar, who they're doing a crisis evaluation, who's in the hospital, and 21 visits to urgent care. Those are 18 and younger are what those numbers are here. And we talked about, of course, we have HIPAA laws and whatnot to protect student privacy, but we talked about how can we make sure that if a student has been in the hospital over the weekend, and these are pretty serious cases, that we know about it as our schools so that we can have good wraparound care. So that is not a student that comes to school on Monday and gets suspended. That's a student that we make sure that we know right away we need to reach out to. And so there was really good dialogue about that moving forward. I know that we have great people in student services, but there are times where there might be this gap of information. And so I was really glad that we were having this conversation. In the last 6 months, the county has expanded all of their contracts for serving families, youth and families. And they have girls' circle groups and 0 to 5 groups and a lot of different outreach that they're doing, and we asked if we could get a breakdown of how do we share that with our families to give them the information. A lot of that is offered in West Sac, but not all of it. So there might be some groups that are in Davis or in Woodland, and so making sure that we have a better understanding of what that is, and so we can help connect people as well as at our level too. And they also talked about how these programs are very hard to staff, but yet they are close to staffing at capacity. And so they're doing a good job of getting folks in and hopefully keeping them there. We talked also about some opportunities for planning grants. And President Juan talked about some planning grants up to the tune of the state's giving $40 million. And could that tie into something that the county's already doing? They're already working through a lot of grants that might be able to kind of dovetail with this work. And lastly, what was an exciting conversation at the end was we talked a little bit about facilities. And as they're working on their facility plan, because they need to expand, and they have reached capacity over at the offices that are over there right across from the Police Department, Supervisor Villegas' office. And so as they look at their facilities and where they're going to expand, and we're doing our facility master plan, is there room to talk through that and possibly have some services right on our campuses with wraparound services? And so students would be able, and families would be able to have that access right there on campus. And we talked about what facility that might be, what that might look like. But they have money for facilities. We know we're doing a facility plan, so it was really exciting to have that conversation. And so just to plant that seed, that was a very early conversation, but it's happening now.
Do you tell them in a couple of years, we may have an entire school for them?
Yes, and we talked about access in terms of a facility that would be in the most appropriate place for where there's the highest need of students. And so we talked about that in terms of to make sure it's accessible, and we talked about how we have a very, in terms of a school with very high needs, Westfield Elementary School is one of our schools with the highest socioeconomic disadvantaged students. And so we talked a little bit about that and what that looks like to make sure that people would have access. So again, these were preliminary conversations, but as we think about our facility plan, I think it's good to be thinking with that lens of how can we work with others to maximize funds, and is there room there to work together to help our students and families?
Thank you.
And is that the only update you want to, this is
Well,
board comments? correct?
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Put it in.
no, I was just going to ask for, did anybody want to talk, since under its board governance, did anybody
Okay,
want to talk
okay,
about the June 20th board governance meeting? So
Okay,
if
got
you
it.
have any comments you'd like to make,
No.
anyone? Anyone? No? Okay. We're good. So now we'll move on.
Kobe, I'm sorry. So we will have minutes for that, correct? I'm sorry. Just thought about it. So we will have minutes for that?
Be approving the special.
Okay, very good. Oh, minutes for the governance. We'll have that next week? Oh, that's right. Okay, 2 weeks, just for the public's.
3, we're
Information.
not coming
it has
back
to
in
be a
until
board
the
meeting.
11th, I
Okay,
think.
very good.
Right. So now we're going to move on to board and superintendent's comments. And let's try to start off with trustee Alcala.
I'm good for
Okay.
this time.
Trustee Kirby Gonzalez.
I know she wants to get to that debate watch.
Let's
Okay.
drag this.
I'll go, I'll go quickly. But I just want to bring up the point, since we went through the LCAP tonight, and we know that we have some, our budget is shifting a little bit in terms of not being finalized, but at our next meeting in July, that we have conversations about our priorities. We heard from a member of the public as well, and that's one of the positions that's an important one to think about, as are many. And so having discussions about what are our priorities, what do we want to look at moving forward, and knowing that is July, we can be prepared for that. And so I'm looking forward to that conversation. And my only other piece then for that is, Mr. Stoffer, we're going to miss you so much in that seat right there. I don't know how we'll make it without you. You'll be very missed. Thank you for your dedication to students, your dedication to the teachers, and to making sure that staffs and school sites and school communities are safe, that they're supported, and for being collaborative in those efforts. And when you see areas that can be improved, for letting us know and giving solutions and providing those. And I want to thank you very much for all that you've done in the classroom, of course, with your students, and as a leader in the district, and also as a leader in the state. People see you as an education leader, and they respect you. And I know that we will still hear from you and talk to you and seek your guidance and your thoughts and your feedback. But I want you to know how much I've appreciated you and your role and your advocacy for making things as good as they can be for kids in the district. Thank you.
Trustee Jackson? Clerk Jackson, sorry.
Well, first of all, I want to welcome Dr. Phillips to the district. It's funny, when I walked in and I saw you sitting there, I'm like, he looks familiar for some reason. And then I couldn't place it, but now everything makes perfectly good sense. welcome. I know, I think the experiences that you had in Stockton will definitely pay off in spades here in Washington Unified. And I'm looking forward to your leadership and your working with us here in our district and helping us with some of our neediest of students. And also wanted to thank Jerry Smith on his way out for the work that he's done in the short time that I've been on the board. I've just been again watching him and seeing the real caring and love that he has for the kids that he works with, and the cases that he's had to bring before us. It's quite refreshing to see that, and he definitely will be missed. But I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that the person coming in is going to do a fantastic job as well. And also to Don, thank you again for to kind of echo the comments of Trustee Kirby Gonzalez. Thank you for your service to our students and to our teachers in this district. It's refreshing to see and to see a district and a board and a labor union that can work cohesively together and not in opposition to each other, unlike the district I work in. So it's nice to see that that type of relationship has been formed here in this district, because it really does help things in many, many ways. And I think the work that you've done with our teachers and everything has been tremendous. And I think you would definitely know, as we all know, you will definitely be missed. But again, thank you for the time that you spent here and for all the hard work that you put forth in supporting our teachers. And one thing that you said earlier that kind of resonated with me to the point where I actually made quite a few notes is that when you said that the teachers felt that their needs weren't heard or the concerns weren't being heard and things like that, that kind of hit home for me. And if at some point in time, if outside of this, if we can get together so we can have a chance to discuss those, because I would like to find ways where we can make sure that not only the needs and concerns of our most critical component of our district, which are our teachers, that those things are being addressed so that our teachers don't feel like that their concerns or their needs are being felt upon deaf ears. I would be more than happy to sit down with you and go over those as well. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to piggyback on everything that you've heard, Don. You know, this is a love fest right now because I've gotten to know you over the last, 3.5 years, and I got to say, and I've said it to you before, but you have a very calming effect on everyone around you, especially when tensions are high. And I remember when I first came into the district, we were almost at a strike. And I think it was, level-headedness and calm and cool, collected behavior by you sometimes. But mostly, it was your demeanor. It's the way you interacted with a lot of people that I think kept us from blowing off, like completely just blowing up, yeah. The love that you have for your union and your members is, I think, unrivaled, and I think your willingness to work with everyone and just give it to them straight is something that is sorely needed. I know, the union that I represent, it's hard to find counterparts like that with the state. So I know how difficult it is. But this relationship here that we all have with you, I think, we absolutely cherish, and it's going to be missed. So thank you, Don. I also wanted to thank Superintendent Luna for the outstanding, job she's done under a very stressful year. She's had, a very trying time with, many different challenges put in front of you. And I want to say thank you for, doing the very best you possibly can with some of the difficulties that we've all seen and faced. And so without belaboring the point too much, I just want you to know you have my great and deepest appreciation. So thank you. I also wanted to say that I testified in Senate Ed in support of Jose Medina's ethnic studies legislation on Wednesday. And I identified as a Washington Unified School District trustee, as an individual trustee, as I'm allowed to do. I saw Mr. Stauffer there as well. And for Trustee Kirby Gonzalez and I, in the article that came out, I know I personally identified myself as an individual trustee and not speaking on behalf of the board, as I'm allowed to do. If it came off any differently than how I stated, I cannot control what is written. So that is how I said it to the reporter, and that's basically how it came out is how it came out. And again, I wanted to thank Jerry for his many years of service and for his love for the district and the kids. It's just, you know, as Trustee Jackson said, you could see exactly how much he cares for every kid. And he thinks everyone deserves a second chance, and he firmly believes it. And I believe him with that. So with that.
Oh, I also forgot to thank people. It was remiss, so I just want to have an opportunity to thank Jerry for all this great work. And Dawn, I see you all the time. We work on so many different projects aside from the school, so I never feel like you're really leaving, you know. I know you'll be back, so thank you so much.
Okay, now Superintendent.
Hey, I'm the senior member on this board. I want to remind everyone, I have my moments, yeah.
Thank you, Vice President Pizzotti and Board of Trustees, staff, and guests. I would truly be remiss if I did not thank my partners, both President Daniel Gandara and President Don Stauffer. It truly does make a difference for the district when we all try to work together. And they know that my door is always open for them. And all they need to do is let me know, and we can just follow up on the things we need to follow up to better support our staff. It's a rare working relationship, and I am darn lucky to have had that, and I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to the new president coming in as well and continuing my work with Mr. Gandara. So that being said, I only have 5 slides of celebration. Wanted to let the board know there is some wonderful work going on right now in the summer. And at River City High School, you see that we have 280 students that are attending summer programs. So we have the Summer Bridge program, which is our 8th grade students entering 9th grade into River City High School. So they're going through lots of different it's kind of like a steroids orientation time where they really get to know the high school so that on their first day of school, it's familiar and they're not walking around lost. This is a new program that was brought in a couple years ago, and every year we get more and more students. This year we have 225. We have 55 students doing credit recovery, and if you recall, we first instituted credit recovery officially about 3 years ago. And so we've been getting more and more students on board in terms of credit recovery. And so that is going on at River City High School. Stonegate School is our current summer school location. So that means all the programs for K-8 go to Stonegate this year. So we have lots of different programs. We've expanded even more. Our kindergarten dual enrollment prep, which is the group of kindergarten students going into the Spanish dual immersion program for the first time in the fall. We give them like a boot camp to get them prepared and let the parents know what the program is going to be like so that the kids also get a little bit of flavor before they actually start the first day of school. We have a math institution going on, which is being run by 2 exemplary teachers for 6th through 8th grade students. We know that math is the most challenging content area across California. And so anytime that we can give extra support in math, I think the summertime is a really good time for that. The Indian Education Program has a specialized program for the summer in grades 1 through 8, and they are taking some of the EL and special ed summer institution program components and putting it into theirs, as well as infusing visual and performing arts into their learning. So it's just a plethora of ways of expressing learning for our students. Our biggest program is with 325 students, and they are, I hate to say that they're English learners and special ed students, because you wouldn't know that. They're just students. And the beauty and the specialty of this program is that the students are in one classroom with 2 teachers co-teaching, so that there is full support for all of the students. This is truly project-based learning. If you come, I hope you can come to the celebration in July, because this year's project-based learning theme is shark. So you've got to know the Baby Shark song, because I've requested that all the kids learn this as part of the program. So with that, there's also professional learning going on in this co-teaching model as teachers learn and acquire skills of inclusion, of academic vocabulary development. So this is what we are really holding our hat on as a specialized program that we have seen great positive results for our English learners' progress. Those are the big summer programs that are going on currently. I just wanted to show you just a couple pictures of how the summer program looks so different than the regular school year, but what you're going to find is that the summer school teachers are beginning to bring these strategies and skills that they're implementing in the summer, they're building them into their regular school year, and that's the beauty of the summer program. So EL Summer School and Extended School Year Program are combined together. They are working on project-based learning strategies, they're doing cross-curricular literacy, and the most important component is the academic language development. And you just see it's completely different learning experiences than the regular school year. They are in shark theme, and you see that the students are not sitting in rows or sitting in chairs. They are up and learning and talking and writing. We have teachers in collaboration during this time. They have an hour during the week to collaborate and plan their lessons together. And again, they take these lessons and incorporate them into the following year. So it's really an exemplary model of the work that our teachers are doing. Lastly, I just want to say that we do have a large amount of students who are in the summer intern program through the city's Home Run Initiative. But I walked into the technology department just to say hi to the tech department, just doing my rounds, and I ran into some kids, and they look very different. The students here these are our summer interns that have been hired for the technology department this year. And these are really great kids. And I actually, walking into the room, seeing the kids, they've already taught me quite a bit. Look at their learning style, right? And they are doing some major projects for the district in terms of technology, data entry, and just preparing for all the schools to open up fresh and as prepared as possible. They are working 8 to 4 every day. Nice. They are getting paid through the city's initiative, and they are working, I believe, until the beginning of August. So they are truly in a job setting. They are learning and being mentored by our own technology department, by all of our technicians and all of our staff that are there. So this is just one group of our interns. We have interns in other departments as well, so we'll try to capture that as the summer goes along. But that is my update for tonight, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Superintendent Luna, does the summer school program, does that rotate every year, or is it always at Stonegate?
It does rotate. That's a good question. We've had it at Westmore Oaks a couple of years.
Okay.
And this year it's at Stonegate. We rotate it so that MOT can really get
Right.
onto the different campuses, and
Okay.
it just doesn't stay at one. I think we had it at Riverbank one year too, so.
Okay. All right, thank you. Oh, wait, Trustee Kirby Gonzalez?
No, well, actually, it's just as a board comment side too, is that the youth, our partnership with the West Sacramento Police Department, they put on the Youth Academy graduation. And unfortunately, I can't attend tomorrow because I'm teaching, but it is here in City Hall at noon, and so.
Oh, it's City Hall? Okay. Good
And
thing.
we were hoping that,
Thank you for telling me that.
one of
I
the-
would've showed up at the police station.
my colleagues could attend. And then as we come to the end, of course, our students have left, but there are still employees working hard
Right.
this summer, as we heard from the back. And we see our educators who are taking professional development and our students that are learning, and there's so many great things happening. But this is now a time after this meeting where there will be a little bit of a lull for some folks and some much-needed break, and it's sort of the end of our year that we think about. And I just want to really reiterate how fortunate we are in this district to have a reflective, thoughtful, articulate, respected leader in Superintendent Linda Luna. We go to these meetings, for example, our meeting just yesterday, and there's data and people are asking questions, and they look right to her because she has the knowledge and knows what is happening with our students in our schools. And I am so proud to have you here and so grateful as a trustee and as a parent in this district for all that you do. And as we look at how we as a district, all of the things we're doing well, the lens on continuing to grow and continuing to grow for every single staff member. And you are such a strong model of that. And I want to thank you and hope you have a lovely little break because you deserve one, because I know that everyone has been working very, very hard and you are at the top of that list. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Trustee. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Luna. Let's see, is there any future board agenda items?
I mentioned it last time. I think we should have something on conduct. It was brought up by a parent, cell phone use.
Oh,
Right.
so
Expand on that.
what is it, the parent handbook? Or
Parent handbook,
parent
right.
handbook?
Student handbook, parent handbook.
There's
Okay.
also a board policy section on electronics and cell phone use.
Right.
We
But
could look at that too.
And also
They did bring up page 8 and page 7, and we could probably expand on it. I think it's necessary.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
And let's not forget the issues that were brought to our attention 2 board meetings ago from our students that did the presentation on the dress code.
Oh, yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's right.
That's correct.
Dress code.
And then I believe it'll already be there, but the discussion around priorities.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Especially after our 45, before our 45-day revise. Yeah.
Well, then on that same note, then for me would be special education and full inclusion.
Okay. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.